Hey there guys, how are you doing today? This is your neighborhood stoner, and today I'm going to be talking to you about cannabinoids. However, this video could be longer than my other ones and definitely a lot more technical, so please stay tuned. I'll try to explain everything as best as I can. Thank you for watching. So, what are cannabinoids? So, cannabinoids are actually a type of chemical compound that can be found in the cannabis plant, of course, and actually in our own bodies. But what do these cannabinoids do, might you ask? Well, let me explain that to you. So actually, in every single human being, we have something that is called an endocannabinoid system. Endo at the beginning of this word stands for endogenous, which means that these cannabinoids actually originate in our bodies already. And yes, you definitely just heard me correctly. Every single human being on this planet has cannabinoids in their body all the time. So you might be asking, how exactly does this system work? Well, let me go ahead and explain that for you. Throughout our entire body, we have things that are called receptors. We have CB1 and CB2 receptors. Although they're spread throughout our entire body, mostly CB1 receptors are in our brain, and then we have CB2 receptors mostly in our immune system. These receptors act as binding sites for the endocannabinoids that are in our body, as well as cannabinoids that are found elsewhere, like in plants like cannabis. Those cannabinoids are not called endocannabinoids though, because they don't originate in ourselves. What those cannabinoids are called are phytocannabinoids, because they come from plants. Alright, so I've already explained the endocannabinoid system and how we have receptors that are inside of our body due to it. So let me go ahead and tell you about the cannabinoids that affect these receptors. I know you guys probably want me to go super crazy and start talking about the cannabinoids that are in cannabis, because who doesn't? But I'm first going to talk about the endocannabinoids that are already in our bodies. This is the part of the video that's going to be kind of technical, so I'm going to explain it as best as I possibly can. Alright guys, so the first main endocannabinoid I want to talk about is Anandamide. Anandamide affects both CB1 and CB2 receptors and affects your appetite and your pleasure and reward system. So with that being said, Anandamide affecting eating, your pleasure and reward system, I also want to mention that when there's an increase of Anandamide levels, it makes eating more pleasurable because it affects appetite, but it also affects your pleasure and reward system. So I want you to keep that in mind for a second. Just keep that in your head. I'm going to bring up why that's important later in the video. Alright, so that's Anandamide for you. Let me go ahead and talk about the second endocannabinoid that I want to talk about. Alright, so the second endocannabinoid I want to talk about is a bit of a mouthful. Not even I can pronounce it. It's just so extensive, so ridiculous. I'll try, but I'm going to abbreviate it later. It's called 2-archaeodanylglycerol, I believe. But for this video, I'm going to call it 2AG. This next phrase I wanted to reword, but I couldn't really find a good way to reword it, so this is almost a direct quote from sensiseeds.com. Their link is going to be in the description below. But 2AG, it plays a big role in the functions of appetite, pain management, and immune system functions. And it also affects both CB1 and CB2 receptors. Alright, so now that I got those main endocannabinoids out of the way, we can finally talk about the phytocannabinoids that we get when we ingest cannabis. So the phytocannabinoids are concentrated into the resinous glands on the plant that are called trichomes. If you don't know what a trichome is, if you ever buy bud, it's that frost that is on your bud. It's those crystals that are on your bud. Those are the trichomes of the plant. So in cannabis, there are at least 85 different cannabinoids that are in the plant. The three most basic ones that people refer to are THC, CBD, and CBN. For this video, I'm only going to be really talking about THC and CBD, however, because those are the most abundant, most talked about. I know I said CBN is too, but it's just those two are specifically what are revolutionizing the country at the moment. These cannabinoids that are in the cannabis plant stimulate your CB1 and CB2 receptors differently, just depending on the level of the cannabinoid that is in the plant. So let me go ahead and say that CB1 receptors are actually responsible for the psychoactive effects that marijuana gives us, and the CB2 receptors affect the anti-inflammatory and the therapeutic effects of the cannabis plant. So the first phytocannabinoid that I want to go in depth with is the most notable actually, and it's going to be THC, or tetrahydrocannabinol. If I'm pronouncing that wrong, I certainly apologize. That's it, I apologize. So as you probably know, THC is the psychoactive ingredient in cannabis that gets you high, and it also affects both CB1 and CB2 receptors in your body. But what you probably didn't know is that THC actually mimics the anandamide that's already in our bodies. So with THC being structurally similar to anandamide, our body just interprets this new THC as more anandamide. So let's go ahead and rewind a little bit. Remember when I was talking about the increase of anandamide levels could increase to food being more pleasurable? Well, this is why we get the munchies, you guys. So this increase of anandamide that our body thinks is anandamide but is really THC is just making us crave food and think food is the best thing ever, because it is at the time. So now we can finally understand why we actually get the munchies and why food seems so pleasurable to us while we're high. Alright, now THC has a lot of medical value, including the help with sleeping disorders, things like glaucoma, your pain management, it helps with that. But right now, I kind of want to just go in depth more with the neuroprotective property that THC has. Studies have actually shown that THC can be used to preserve neuronal structure or function, and they can actually be used to treat central nervous system disorders. Alright, so what's being said here is that disorders like Parkinson's, Huntington's, and Alzheimer's can all benefit from using THC as a treatment. Alright, that is enough talk about the THC cannabinoid. Let's go ahead and start talking about CBD, or cannabidiol, or cannabidiol, something like that. Unlike THC, CBD is actually an antipsychoactive, which affects CB2 receptors that are in our immune system mostly. So with this being said, CBD can actually be used as a medical treatment without even getting the psychoactive effect. CBD has a huge range of medical value that it can actually be used for. Most notably, it can be used as an anticonvulsatory to stop with seizures. It can be used as an antipsychotic for treatments with schizophrenia. It can be used as an anti-inflammatory, but just there's so much that CBD can actually help with. It's insane. But what really caught my eye was the fact that CBD can be used to fight cancer. Cancer! Studies have shown that CBD can actually turn off the ID1 gene that is in our body that causes cancers to metastasize. It can also be used to kill cancer cells. It kills cancer cells. That in itself is just a revolutionary idea to think about. And nobody is taking the advantage on it just due to the fact that it's illegal at the moment. Alright, so I could go on and on about different cannabinoids that are in the cannabis plant, but there are just so many. I mean, there's 85. There's needs to be more research on the other ones. Those are just the two main ones that are being most talked about today. Alright guys, so that's mostly the video. I do have a couple more things that I want to go over, however. Here's the first thing. Marijuana does not kill brain cells. Oh my god, I'm so tired of hearing that. I'm going to post a link probably on the screen, definitely in the description below. That's going to just send you to a link. I think the link is on WebMD, you know, that site that tells people that they probably have a disease they don't have. That site says on its own website that it doesn't have long-term effect on your brain. I will try and find more links and post them down. I just really wanted to get that out of the way because I keep hearing that shit and it pisses me off. Secondly, alright, so the second thing that I wanted to point out gets a little more technical again. However, I do think it is really important information. The medulla oblongata. It's a part of your brainstem that controls cardiovascular and respiratory function. I wanted to point out that there are no CB1 or CB2 receptors on this medulla oblongata, which means if you are smoking or ingesting cannabis, there is no risk, absolutely no risk for cardiovascular, which is doing with your heart, or respiratory function, doing with your lungs. There is no risk for failure of your heart or lungs from smoking cannabis or ingesting cannabis. That, I feel like, is super important to people. People need to be aware that cannabis is not this dangerous plant that they think it is. And so I think that in itself is a really important thing that people should know. Along with the fact that there are 0 deaths attributed from marijuana by itself. None. 0. Nada. Zip. 0. So just realize, if you are freaking out from smoking cannabis, you are going to be fine. If you are freaking out and you're having trouble containing yourself, relax, take a deep breath, try to lay down if you would like. Just get yourself to a place where you're going to be okay, because cannabis isn't for everyone. But, you know, maybe it's not for you, but you shouldn't be able to take it away from somebody else. That's all I got to say about that. Whew. Anyway, guys, this has been a fun video recording. I am 38 minutes into recording this video. Probably gonna shorten that up by about 30 minutes, hopefully. We'll see where I can get this shortened up. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you can give me any tips to leave me for my next video, I would love that. I had a dude post on my comment section saying that I need to be more energetic. I really tried to do that in this video, so if I did better, tell me, leave me a thumbs up or like, one of those. Just let me know if I'm doing a good job. Let me know if I should do anything to improve. I am just starting out this channel. I know that my upload speeds aren't necessarily the best. If you can notice this whole background, I just moved out of my old house. So I'm actually in my own place now with my brother. So it's really cool. I like it. So thank you guys for watching this possibly long video. Super educational. This really enlightened me just doing a bunch of research on it. I hope it enlightens you. Thank you and have a great day.